Italy doesn't simply appear on the map, it unfolds like a score composed in centuries. Strings of ancient stone, crescendos of sunlit piazzas, and the quiet hum of espresso cups tapping porcelain at dawn. The rhythm begins slow, contemplative, wide shots of sea and countryside breathing in tandem, as if the land itself were remembering. The earth isn't just beautiful. It is structured, layered, deliberate. History isn't locked in museums. It spills into vineyards, cathedrals, and alleyways where laundry flutters like forgotten poems. Nature becomes a character here, the Mediterranean as a patient storyteller. The Apennines as tireless sentinels. Olive groves as lines of verse written in silver green. The truth is simple. The planet is not merely a home, but a long chronicle carved by geology, culture, and time. And within that grand symphony, there is a place that demands witness. Today, we travel to Italy. Rome, or Roma, as Italians insist, is called Caput Mundi, the capital of the world. Rome. Caput Mundi, the eternal city. Locals simply call it Roma. But for centuries, Europeans whispered its nobler nickname, the head of the world. Few cities carry a title heavy with empire, divinity, and espresso all at once. Imagine a city carved in travertine and tuff, washed in honey-colored light. At street level, Rome feels almost cinematic, a blend of roaring scooters, marble ruins, and basilicas stitched into a modern metropolis. From above, its domes glow like bronze buttons pressed onto a Renaissance canvas. Walking here feels less like travel, more like trespassing into time. Geographically, Rome sits on the Tiber River, about 21 miles from the Tyrrhenian Sea. Summers are dry and golden, springs are lush and perfumed. Autumn paints everything in deeper browns. For many, May or October is peak Rome, warm enough for gelato, cool enough for exploration. Historically, Rome is a time axis: kingdom, republic, empire, papal state, modern Italy. Each regime left layers: forums, aqueducts, catacombs, piazzas. like sedimentary rock shaped by human ambition. The Colosseum alone compresses blood sport, engineering, propaganda, and imagination into one amphitheater. Its icons are astonishing not just aesthetically, but numerically. The Colosseum once held up to 50,000 spectators. The Pantheon's dome spans 43 meters, perfectly symmetrical. Trevi Fountain gulps roughly 80,000 cubic meters of water daily and collects thousands in coins. Culturally, Rome shaped opera, sculpture, architecture, and even video game mythologies, from Assassin's Creed to Gladiator. Was the city itself the original cinematic universe? Experientially, Rome invites surrender. Dawn means cappuccino and cornetto. Midday means museums. Dusk means vespers and vino. Night means Trevi Fountain shimmering like liquid silver as tourists cast coins for a promise of return. By day, Rome is sunlit archaeology. By night, it's reflective, espresso dark, and whispery. And for Americans especially, the city slows time by half, proof that the empire isn't just ruins. Sometimes it's a rhythm. Vatican City, the Holy See, and in Italian, Città del Vaticano. A sovereign microstate, smaller than many malls in America, yet spiritually larger than entire civilizations. Its nickname, the heart of Catholicism, carries the weight of 2,000 years of theology, ritual, and art. Visually, the Vatican feels sculpted rather than built. Marble corridors, gold leaf halos, frescoes like celestial clouds frozen in pigment. Light refracts off polished stone, turning the basilica's interior into a kind of sacred prism. Walk a few steps, and it's as if you've crossed from an earthly capital into an illustrated manuscript. Geographically, Vatican City occupies just 44 hectares within Rome, perched near the Tiber River. Mediterranean weather rules here: sunny springs, warm autumns, and winters that feel contemplative rather than harsh. For most travelers, April to June is the season when Vatican queues and Renaissance domes shine under gentle light. Historically, the Vatican is a compressed timeline. Christianity spreads, papacy forms, Renaissance patronage rises. St. Peter's Basilica completed, Vatican becomes a state in 1929. Every event left architecture, doctrine, or masterpieces as its residue. Its icons verge on unbelievable. The Sistine Chapel ceiling stretches over 800 square meters of Michelangelo's theology and paint. St. Peter's Basilica towers at 136 meters under the dome. Vatican museums hold roughly 70,000 artworks, though only a fraction ever meets the public eye. Scientifically, the Vatican Gardens host a surprising micro-ecosystem with Mediterranean flora, exotic palms, and aviary visitors. Proof that even a sacred state respects biodiversity. Culturally, it shaped centuries of literature, cinema, and world politics. Without the Vatican, would Renaissance Europe have imagined heaven the same way? Experientially, the chapel demands silence. Heads tilt back, whispers die. Bucket lists get checked. By day, crowds glow beneath frescoes. By night, the dome broods over Rome like a distant planet, holy, luminous, and utterly magnetic. Florence, or Firenze in Italian, cradle of the Renaissance. A city where marble saints, copper domes, and oil-painted skies share the same oxygen. Nicknamed the Workshop of Europe, it is a place where art was not merely admired, but manufactured like a precious commodity. Sitting in central Tuscany along the Arno River, Florence rests in a shallow basin ringed by hills thick with cypress and vineyards. The city feels compact and walkable, a mosaic of narrow alleys, stone bridges, and bell towers rising from red-tiled roofs. 5 minutes into Florence, your mind draws an invisible map. 10 minutes later, it feels like you've lived here before. Visually, Florence is composed of ochre walls. Terracotta domes, and medieval stonework polished by centuries of footsteps. The Duomo dominates the skyline with a dome that glows amber at sunset. Ponte Vecchio stretches across the river like a Baroque jewelry box, and at golden hour, its reflection melts into the water like wet oil paint. Historically, Florence blossomed as a medieval banking hub before the Medici family funneled wealth into art. From this single city emerged Michelangelo, Leonardo, Botticelli, and Brunelleschi, a Renaissance constellation that reshaped Western imagination. Life here moves at a gentler tempo than Rome. Florentines linger in piazzas, debate art at wine counters, and stroll the riverbanks at dusk. Churches chime, scooters hum, and the scent of espresso mixes with stone warmed by the Tuscan sun. For travelers, Florence is a gallery that has no walls. The Uffizi teaches you myth through brushstrokes. The academia confronts you with David's anatomy, marble transformed into arrogance, beauty, and nationhood. Later, a wine bar by the Arno gifts you Sangiovese, olives, and the pleasure of watching Ponte Vecchio shift from gold to silver as night folds in. Florence matters because it taught Europe how to imagine again. To leave it is to carry that imagination forward. Venice, Venezia, the city that decided streets were overrated and built itself on water instead. Europeans call it La Serenissima, the most serene, yet nothing about it feels ordinary. Venice doesn't introduce itself, it materializes, like stepping into a painting that refuses to dry. Set in the northeastern corner of Italy, at the lip of the Adriatic, Venice floats across a shallow lagoon threaded by 118 islands. Its geography is improbable. Neighborhoods connected not by highways, but by canals, bridges, and tide. Urban planners study Venice with disbelief. Artists study it with longing. What meets the eye is a choreography of stone and water, palazzos with peeling frescoes, Gothic windows dripping with balconies, and canals that mirror passing clouds like polished glass. Colors here are muted and melancholy: sienna brick, algae green, oxidized copper, ivory stucco. At sunrise, the lagoon glows blue like frosted metal. At sunset, it turns amber and wine red, as if the day is bleeding into night. Venice did not arise from convenience. It was born from necessity. Refugees escaping mainland chaos, building a maritime republic that would later dominate Mediterranean trade. From this improbable power rose a city of merchants, diplomats, musicians, map makers, and mask makers. Venetian life is waterborne. There are no cars, only gondolas humming songs. Vaporettos bouncing with commuters and fishing boats carrying dawn. Locals speak Italian, but think in Venetian idiom. Savor cicchetti with spritz and protect traditions like glass blowing on Murano and lace making on Burano. For travelers, Venice is both puzzle and performance. Getting lost is not failure, it's initiation. Choosing gondola over Vaporetto is choosing romance over efficiency. Watching the city at 6 a.m. Before tour groups arrive, feels like witnessing Venice's true self, quiet, ancient, and slightly unreal. Venice matters because it shouldn't exist, yet does, stubbornly, beautifully. You leave it wondering whether it was a destination or a hallucination you briefly inhabited. Tuscany, northern Italy's daydream in slow motion, a region where hills behave like waves. Villages perch on ridges as if they fear the flatlands, and vineyards sprawl with the confidence of centuries. If the rest of Italy argues with time, Tuscany negotiates with it. Geographically, Tuscany occupies the space between the Apennines and the Tyrrhenian Sea. Central enough to influence everything, remote enough to remain itself. Its terrain rises and folds without hurry, a countryside written in cursive rather than print. Even on maps, Tuscany looks like land that refuses to be rushed. The visuals arrive first. Cypress trees acting as punctuation marks, ochre farmhouses weathered into sepia. And vineyards glowing in gradients from emerald to amber. In the mornings, fog drapes over valleys like stolen silk. By afternoon, sunlight liquefies into honey over terracotta roofs. And in the evenings, the sky trades blue for mulberry and rust, cinematic without needing a director. Tuscany didn't emerge as a postcard. It evolved as a system. Feudal estates, grape cultivation, olive groves, and stubborn families who believed agriculture was an art form. Florence may have exported the Renaissance, but Tuscany bottled its countryside philosophy in Chianti. Brunello di Montalcino and Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. Wine here isn't alcohol, it's climate translated into flavor. Life around this landscape is unashamedly analog. Farmers trim vines by hand, nonnas knead dough without recipes, and locals measure time through harvest cycles. Instead of clock hands, conversations linger, meals extend, silence is treated as a valid opinion. For visitors, Tuscany is the antidote to acceleration. You sip Brunello, until it becomes geography on your tongue. Bike gravel roads that smell of dust and olive. And watch shadows stretch across hills like migrating animals. The experience doesn't overwhelm, it enfolds. And Tuscany's lesson? Beauty doesn't need urgency. Sometimes it just needs space. The Amalfi Coast, Italy's pastel amphitheater on the Tyrrhenian Sea. A coastline so dramatic that it feels purpose-built for postcards and convertibles. Americans call it the luxury coastline. Italians call it Costiera Amalfitana, and both sides are correct. Geographically, Amalfi occupies the southern curve of the Sorrentine Peninsula. Picture cliffs dropping straight into cobalt water, stacked towns clinging to rock like swallows' nests. And roads that coil with the arrogance of serpents, tight, steep, and unapologetically scenic. The terrain alone explains the price tags. What you see here is geometry turned romantic. Terraced vineyards, pastel facades, beaches shaped like commas, and domes tiled in green and gold. Positano is the visual trophy of the coast, best admired from above. Where the town cascades toward the sea like spildered confetti. Down at water level, the magic flattens. Up high, it unfolds. Historically, the region thrived as maritime republics and lemon-growing villages. Over centuries, Amalfi learned to monetize its geology. Lemons turned into limoncello, ceramics into color palettes, and cliffs into luxury real estate. Capri, just offshore. Became the sibling island, Glossia, more couture and slightly more aloof. Life here pivots around sea and spectacle. Locals cultivate lemons the size of grapefruits, craft ceramics in sunlit studios. And serve seafood that tastes like salt condensed into flesh. Tourists arrive to floating coves, recline on striped lounges, and test how many shades of pastel a camera can absorb. For visitors, experience comes in layers, renting a boat to Capri, sipping limoncello in Positano. Bargaining for ceramics in Vietri, or chasing late afternoon light along the cliffs. Senses are overstimulated, salt on skin, citrus in air. Motors echoing off rock, and the sea flickering between sapphire and obsidian. Amalfi matters because it proves beauty can be curated. You leave with sunglasses smudged, camera full, and one unanswered question. Was it coastal geology or theatre disguised as coast? Milan, northern Italy's metropolis of fashion, finance, and unapologetic modernity. If Rome speaks in ruins, Milan speaks in runways and spreadsheets. Italians call it Milano. Americans call it European, but with better tailoring. Located in the Lombardy region, Milan sits at the flat base of the Po Valley, with the Alps rising like a stone curtain to the north. This geography matters. It turns the city into a gateway. Trains departing towards Switzerland, lakes shimmering close enough for weekend escapes, and snow resorts waiting a few hours beyond. Visually, Milan is sharper than the rest of Italy. Its skyline blends Gothic spires with glass towers, Renaissance quadrangles with showroom minimalism. At its center, the Duomo stands like a 3D textbook of Gothic architecture. All spires, statues, and vertical ambition. Nearby, Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II curves overhead like a luxury greenhouse for fashion houses. Milan was shaped not by emperors or popes, but by merchants, bankers, and designers. It industrialized early, globalized quickly, and learned to monetize aesthetics through fashion, furniture, and fairs, from Armani and Prada to Salone del Mobile and Milan Fashion Week. Daily life reflects that DNA. Locals dress with precision, drink espresso while standing, debate typography and football in the same breath, and treat cafes as boardrooms. The city's rhythm is brisk, not rude, just efficient. Compared to Rome, Milan feels like someone pressed the fast-forward button. For visitors, Milan offers experiences layered between commerce and culture. Shopping in Quadrilatero della Moda, catching an opera at La Scala. Touring design showrooms, or lingering in outdoor cafes with cappuccino and sunglasses. Even browsing feels like anthropology. Milan matters because it represents a different Italy, less nostalgic, more forward-facing. You leave appreciating that beauty can exist not only in ruins and domes, but also in sketchbooks, suits, and skylines. And somewhere between Rome's past and the Alps horizon. Milan becomes the bridge, a modern prologue to the rest of Europe. Cinque Terre, 5 hamlets painted along the Ligurian coast of northern Italy. To hikers, it's a coastal playground. To photographers, a color chart. To daydreamers, proof that small places can be cinematic too. Cinque Terre occupies a narrow section of coastline in Liguria, wedged between mountains and sea. The geography is angular. Cliffs dive into turquoise coves while vineyards climb uphill in terraces carved by stubborn generations. Space is scarce here, which forces the villages to stack upward instead of sprawl outward. Visually, Cinque Terre is a study in verticality and pigment. Riomaggiore leans steep and sharp. Manarola perches like cut gemstones on black rock. Corniglia sits higher, refusing the sea. Vernazza curves into a perfect horseshoe bay. Monterosso spreads wider, with beaches that invite pause. Colors dominate: saffron, coral, teal, mustard, and rose. Buildings aged by salt and sun, never by boredom. At sunset, Vernazza turns surreal, as if an oil painting decided to breathe. Historically, these villages grew from fishing communities linked not by roads, but by footpaths and boats. terraced vineyards and dry stone walls tell the quiet history of agriculture meeting gravity. Tourism arrived later, and hikers adopted Cinque Terre as a pilgrimage route. Life here remains compact and coastal. Locals speak Ligurian dialects, mend boats, pour Chaquetra wine, and serve anchovies that taste like distilled sea. Conversation happens in piazzas the size of living rooms, under laundry lines and lemon trees. For travelers, experience unfolds best on foot. The trail from Rio Maggiore to Monterosso stitches the villages into a narrative. Steep climbs, narrow ledges, and sea below like shattered glass. Senses sharpen, salt on skin, citrus in air. Footsteps on stone and wind that tastes metallic. Cinque Terre matters. Because it proves scale doesn't limit beauty. You leave wanting two contradictory things: to tell everyone and to keep it secret. Welcome to the Mirror of Paradise, Lake Como. Nestled in the heart of northern Italy's Lombardy region, this isn't just a body of water. It's a lifestyle draped in silk and sunlight. Often called the drawing room of Europe, Lake Como is a place where time doesn't just slow down. It bows to the sheer beauty of the landscape. Framed by the majestic Rhaetian Alps, this glacial giant is famously shaped like an inverted Y. Carving a deep sapphire path between rugged mountain peaks and lush Mediterranean-style gardens. Visually, it is a masterpiece of textures. Imagine deep navy waters rippling against the hulls of polished wooden reever boats. While the shoreline is dotted with neoclassical villas, terracotta walls and ivory columns, cascading down steep cliffs. Everywhere you look, the silver green of olive groves meets the vibrant pink of blooming azaleas. Under a soft, golden light. But there is a soul behind the scenery. Formed by melting glaciers, this lake has evolved from a Roman retreat into the world's most prestigious weekend sanctuary. While its history is rooted in world-class silk production, today, it carries that unmistakable George Clooney vibe, a blend of old-world nobility and modern Hollywood glamour. Life here is defined by dolce far niente, the sweetness of doing nothing. Whether it's a craftsman in Bellagio or a waiter at a Michelin-starred terrace, there is a shared commitment to discretion and elegance. To truly experience it, you must take to the water. Feel the wind in your hair on a private speedboat before wandering through the secret gardens of Villa del Balbianello. As the sun dips behind the peaks, the air fills with the scent of jasmine and the clink of Negroni glasses. It is more than a destination. It's a harmonious marriage of man-made architecture and raw, natural wonder. Once you've seen the moon rise over those silent silver peaks, a piece of you stays here forever. Lake Como doesn't just ask for your attention, it captures your soul. Sicily, Italy's Mediterranean furnace of ancient cities. Volcanic soil and incendiary cuisine. An island that tastes like citrus and ancient wars. Where ruins share horizons with beach umbrellas and Baroque balconies. Set at the toe of Italy's boot, Sicily rests in the middle of the Mediterranean crossroads. Geography made it desirable, and desirability made it complicated. Greeks, Romans, Arabs, Normans, and Spaniards all left fingerprints on its architecture. Flavors and vocabulary. On maps, Sicily looks detached. In history, it was never isolated. The island's landscape moves between extremes. Taormina perches high, framed by bougainvillea, and the distant silhouette of Mount Etna, scenery that feels storyboarded for cinema. Palermo unfurls in Baroque facades and chaotic markets. Catania skirts Etna's black lava fields. Ortigia glows cream white at sunset. Water is cobalt, stone is honey, and citrus groves perfume the air with a spicy sweetness. Nothing in Sicily is muted. Everything is seasoned. Sicily's story is part geology, part dynasty. Etna is Europe's most active volcano, fertilizing vineyards and terrifying empires. Cities rose as trading posts, fortresses, and shrines to power, each era layering a new language, a new religion, a new recipe. Legends whisper of sea monsters, saints, and queens who ruled with velvet gloves. Life on the island is generous and theatrical. Sicilians speak in gestures and metaphors, shop in open-air markets, and cook with the confidence of people who know their ingredients are unbeatable. Cannoli stuffed with ricotta, arancini fried golden, granita served with brioche, and pasta alla norma drenched in eggplant and basil, dishes that feel like edible archaeology. For travelers, Sicily is a choose-your-own movie, lounging on beaches, hiking Etna's lava trails, tracing Greek temples in Agrigento, or tasting wines grown on volcanic slopes. Sicily matters because it's not just Mediterranean. It's Mediterranean with memory. leave with sunburn, full pockets of sensory data, and the suspicion that history doesn't sleep here. It just simmers. In the end, Italy leaves a particular kind of sentiment behind. Not loud, not exaggerated, but lingering. It's the feeling of having walked through a country that remembers more than it reveals at first glance. Cities whisper stories, coastlines perform their colors, mountains hold centuries in quiet stone, and you, for a moment, get to stand inside all of it. For travelers, Italy is less a destination and more an invitation. An invitation to slow down, to look closer, to taste with intention, to listen to the rhythm of a place that refuses to rush for anyone. It asks nothing extraordinary of you, only that you show up curious and leave room for wonder. And maybe that's the true hook. Italy makes you want to experience it for yourself, not through photographs but through footsteps, not through reviews but through appetite, not through screens but through senses. It reminds you that beauty is not passive. It must be visited, touched, shared, and remembered. Because beyond all the piazzas and coastlines, Italy offers one quiet truth. The world is wider than our routines, older than our deadlines, and richer than we expect. And somewhere between past and present, between espresso and sunset, you realize life can be lived slower and lived better.